Good evening and welcome to the Independent Herald's live coverage of the annual Firemen's 4th Festival in the town of Huntsville. We are on the Courthouse Mall in downtown Huntsville on the corner of Court Street and Baker Highway as we get set for the annual Firemen's 4th of July Parade, which is stepping off right now from Huntsville Elementary School and First Baptist Church just east of the school. If you're tuning in and you're not familiar, there are some changes that are going to be made to the parade route this year that you might want to be aware of if you're going to be coming out for the parade or if you're in the Huntsville area. The parade route is starting where it always starts. It's following Baker Highway as it always does. It's going to turn onto the Courthouse Mall as it always does, but it's going to go in the opposite direction that it usually does. It'll go in the out or in the exit to the mall. It will circle the mall in a clockwise direction, and then it will exit the mall at the entrance to the mall, which is the Brimstone Recreation Office, and from there it will turn east onto Baker Highway and continue to the Huntsville City Park before disbanding. That's the change. Rather than circling back to First Baptist Church, it's going to go east to Huntsville Elementary School. To Huntsville City Park. So if you are in the Huntsville area, if you're maybe jumping on Facebook because you're tied up in traffic, well, unfortunately, you're going to be tied up in traffic for a while. This change is for safety reasons, but it does make the parade route longer, and it means that Baker Highway is going to be shut down for a longer period of time because it's going to take longer for the parade to make its way to Huntsville Park before disbanding. Right at the start, let me thank our sponsors who are helping bring us this live coverage of the parade and then the fireworks later on tonight include First National Bank, United Cumberland Bank, Twin K Enterprises, Plateau Electric Cooperative, Salvage LLC, McDonald's of Oneida, the town of Huntsville, the Highland Connection and Highland Telephone, Highland Communications, Scott Appalachian Industries, Renee Irwin, Scott County Trustee, Scott County Mayor Jared Jeffers, El Rey of Oneida, and Takahata in Helenwood. Those are the folks who are helping us bring you live coverage today of not only the parade but the fireworks later tonight. So here's the agenda. We're bringing you the parade now. When the parade is finished, we're going to step aside for a couple of hours, and then we'll be back at about 10 o'clock for the fireworks. So after we sign off, if you're not going to be able to make it out tonight for fireworks, tune back in at 10 o'clock on the dot, and we expect the fireworks to start sometime right about 10 o'clock. In the words of Huntsville Mayor Dennis Jeffers, we'll get started when everybody gets settled back in from the parade. And then sunset is about 9:30, dusk is about 10 o'clock, so that's the traditional start time. Fireworks expected to be a little bit bigger and a little bit better than they have been in years past. If you can see down the road, the start of this parade, which will be led, I would imagine, by Scott County Sheriff Brian Keaton, and then the Boy Scout Troop of Huntsville, Troop 333, just making its way past the Huntsville Fire Hall, Huntsville City Hall, and so they'll be here at our location momentarily. So if you're jumping on Facebook or jumping on YouTube and you're coming across this live video, I'll remind you that if you are a subscriber of Highland Media, you can also catch tonight's coverage on the South Fork Network, and that's channel 190 and 191 on Highland Media. A little bit of a change for us. The Independent Herald's coverage of this parade in years past, we have not attempted any narration of the 4th of July parade because it's a little bit different from the Christmas parade. The Christmas parade, the lineup is done days in advance. There is a registration deadline that's 3 days before the parade, and so you know what order everybody's going to be in, and you've got an information packet for each entry. It's handy. This parade is a little bit different, and that's not a bad thing. It's just the way that they do things at the Firemen's 4th. It's kind of a come one, come all type of a situation with this parade, and there's no pre-registration required. Folks just line up as they come on the side of the highway east of the Baptist Church, and so we don't have any clue who's going to be in the parade, and we don't have any clue what order that they will be in. But nonetheless, we'll attempt this as the parade passes our location. I apologize that you have to listen to me and only me, but maybe it will be better than no video at all. I will tell you at the outset, we are having some difficulties with cellular data here on the mall, not because of signal or reception or anything like that, because there is so many people down here and so many cellular devices going. So if we buffer a little bit or if we are interrupted, please hang with us and we'll be back as soon as we can. If by chance we lose this video entirely, hopefully that's not going to happen. We don't intend for that to happen. But if it does happen, then we'll get the recorded video up a little bit later tonight. This, like I said, there is a ton of people down here. Probably the best attended 4th of July parade that I've ever seen. This is the 4th year that it's been at night. That's a throwback to the COVID era in 2020 when they condensed this festival down. They moved the parade from its traditional start time in the morning to in the evening. And so it worked so well that they decided they were going to keep doing it in the evening. And so here we are. And one of the results of having this parade in the evening is a much better turnout. Not that the parade was not well attended in the mornings, but there have been huge turnouts the last couple of years, and there is a tremendous turnout here on the mall tonight. You can't see around me, but if you could, there are thousands of people here on the mall and in the area surrounding the mall. Probably one of the biggest turnouts that I can ever remember for this parade. So with that said, the parade has reached our location, and I'll stop talking so much and let you enjoy the parade. As leading us off is Scott County Sheriff Brian Keaton, his twin brother Brad Keaton, Jail Administrator Aaron Evans in the back seat, and behind them, Troop 333 of the Boy Scouts from Huntsville. By the way, if you want to take part in the Boy Scouts, they meet every Tuesday at 6 o'clock at Scott Appalachian Industries on Baker Highway here in Huntsville. Brett Bond is the Chief Deputy of the Scott County Sheriff's Department. That's him passing in the black Tahoe. And behind Brett Bond will be Chris Peters, another member of the Scott County Sheriff's Department administration. Former District Attorney General William Paul Phillips is the Grand Marshal of this year's parade. You see him passing your location right now. And behind him will be State Senator Ken Yeager. Senator Yeager being chauffeured tonight by Mr. Don Billingsley. I'm sorry, Don Stansbury. And there's Huntsville Mayor Dennis Jeffers. His wife Amy, who is a county commissioner. And behind them, this is a staple in this parade, the Kerbella Shriners go-karts. And the first of many fire trucks that you will see in this year's parade. As always, up front among the fire departments is the Huntsville Fire Department. This is their show, the Firemen's Fourth Festival, hosted by the Huntsville Fire Department. And so the Huntsville Fire Department leading us off as far as the emergency vehicles go. Once again, we got a little bit of a gap here between the Huntsville Fire Department and the next entry, which is going to be the Buckeye Army of Mr. Andy Burge. Let me remind you of our sponsors who are helping to bring you coverage tonight. And those sponsors include First National Bank of Oneida, United Cumberland Bank, Twin K Enterprises, Plateau Electric Cooperative, Salvage LLC, McDonald's of Oneida, the Town of Huntsville and Mayor Dennis Jeffers, the Highland Connection and Highland Telephone Cooperative, Scott Appalachian Industries, Scott County Trustee Renee Irwin, Scott County Mayor Jared Jeffers, El Rey of Oneida, and Takahata Precision in Helenwood. This next entry will be the biggest one of the parade, and that is the But God Army of Randy Burge. If you haven't seen Randy, if you're new to Scott County, because if you're not new to Scott County, you know Randy Burge's story. If you're new to Scott County and you don't know Randy Burge's story, go to the Independent Herald and search for Randy Burge, or go on Google and search for Randy Burge. You will find his story. It's a remarkable story, and since his recovery from drug addiction, Randy Burge has helped a lot of Scott Countyans recover from addiction the same way that he did, and he has started the But God Army. That's what has come from Randy Burge and his mission to put up signs all over Scott County, and those signs say, there's one right here at the entrance to the mall. It says, everybody has a problem no one can fix but God, and that's where the But God Army came from. There will be hundreds of people with Randy Burge in this year's parade as part of the But God Army. Of course, it's kind of bolstered a little bit by his home church, which is White Rock Baptist Church, right behind us here next to the mall. But a lot of other folks, not only from other churches, but folks who really aren't associated with any church at all, coming out to be a part of the But God Army in this parade as well. As the But God Army rolls by our location, I will remind you that we will be signing off for a couple of hours once this parade is finished, and we'll be moving our locations and setting up, getting ready for the fireworks. That will begin at about 10 o'clock, and we'll be back at 10 on the dot with live video of the fireworks tonight. So if you can't make it out in person, be sure to join us. Tell someone that you know that you can catch the fireworks live here on the Independent Herald. You can also catch us on the South Fork Network on Highland Media, channels 190 and 191. This is still the But God Army, and I got to tell you, as far as I can see to the Huntsville Fire Hall, City Hall, and beyond towards Huntsville Elementary School, the But God Army is still making its way along this parade route on Baker Highway. So we're going to be seeing these folks for a while. I don't remember the exact number of what the record is as far as the turnout. I think it was maybe 470 or thereabouts the first year that they did this, and it just keeps getting better, bigger and better every single year. Once again, our sponsors, as the But God Army continues, and you see Randy Burge himself making his way towards our location. Randy, by the way, would be the first to tell you that this is not about him, this But God Army effort, but he is the face of this, and he's the one that makes it happen. He's going to be on the opposite side of the vehicle, on the opposite side of the trailer from where we're at, so we won't get a good shot of him. But nevertheless, our sponsors again who are bringing us this coverage tonight: First National Bank of Oneida, United Cumberland Bank, Twin K Enterprises, Plateau Electric Cooperative, Salvage LLC, McDonald's of Oneida, the Town of Huntsville, the Highland Connection, Scott Appalachian Industries, Scott County Trustee Renee Irwin, Scott County Mayor Jerry Jeffers, El Rey of Oneida, and Takahata Precision, Tennessee. I think I told you at the beginning that we are having some connectivity issues here on the mall because there are so many people here, so many cellular devices that are on the network, and our speed is good, our connection is good, but there are some connectivity issues, so we may buffer just a bit every now and then. Hopefully we don't lose the stream entirely. We don't intend to lose the stream entirely, but if we do, We will have it back just as soon as we can, so bear with us. And we will also have the recorded version up a little bit later tonight. Hey, as the Bud Got Army continues to make its way by our location here on the corner of the mall, let me remind you, it is July the 4th now, and of course, as anybody who is still in school, who teaches school can tell you, this kind of marks the halfway point of summer unofficially. It's all downhill from here. So in 1 month, we're going to be into August, and we're going to be talking about the start of the high school sports season, the high school football season, and the IH Sports Network will be with you again this year for a third consecutive year. And our plan is to bring you every game that Sky High and Oneida participates in, 20 games for the regular season and however many postseason games there are after that. You can catch those on the IH Sports Network, on Highland Media, on the South Fork Network, and we're looking forward to it. We've gotten better each year so far. We plan to be even better this year for year 3. And who knows, maybe some new features this year that we haven't had yet. So be sure as we roll into the middle of August and start getting ready for the football season to check out what's new this year on the IH Sports Network. This is the end of the Bud Got Army making its way by our location at this time. We are almost 15 minutes into this parade and still much more to come. If you're just tuning in, there is a change this year to the parade route. Typically, this parade circles the courthouse mall and then doubles back to Huntsville Elementary School before disbanding. This year, it's going to exit the mall and it's going to head east on Baker Highway to Huntsville City Park. In fact, Huntsville Fire Department has already exited the mall and is headed east on Baker Highway. And so, again, they're going to go all the way to Huntsville City Park before disbanding. That's due to safety issues. In years past, there have been incidents where kids have nearly gotten run over as they go into the street to get candy. As that parade starts to double back, that can be a little bit of an issue. So they decided to change things up this year. It lengthens the parade route. It's going to result in a little bit more of a traffic tie-up here on Baker Highway because the highway is going to be closed a little bit longer than normal, but that's okay. We've got plenty of time before the fireworks get started. That, by the way, will be at 10 o'clock tonight. And again, we'll sign off when this parade is done, which will probably be in the next 20 to 25 minutes. And then we'll be back at 10 o'clock with the fireworks here on the Independent Herald as we continue our live coverage of the Firemen's Fourth from downtown Huntsville. So what you're seeing now is the tail end of the Bud Got Army. Maybe now you see why they call it an army. I don't think that's why, but this effort has grown into an army. That is for sure. And without a doubt, this year's participation in this parade, the largest so far for the Bud Got Army. And we got a little bit of a gap here in the parade before the next entry comes along, which I believe is going to be another staple in this Fireman's Fourth Parade, and that would be the sharp float. been a beautiful day weather-wise here on the mall for the Firemen's Fourth. A lot of folks have been out here all day taking advantage of the food vendors that are out here, the arts and crafts vendors, the carnival rides for the kids that are positioned here on the north end of the mall. And they'll be here well into the night as well. Something that has returned this year that's not been here since COVID started in 2020, live entertainment at the Firemen's Fourth. The Clint Keaton Band is here. They went live at about 5 o'clock this evening. They're taking a break now while the parade passes, but they'll be back on stage at the gazebo in the center of the mall after the parade is finished, and they'll be back after the fireworks tonight at about 10:30, 10:35 as well for their third set of the evening, the Clint Keaton Band. Food vendors will be here well into the night tonight. There are games, there are all kinds of activities here on the mall, so if you have an opportunity to come out and enjoy yourself, please do so. It's been a beautiful day, as I said. There was a little bit of rain earlier. It has cleared up. I told you this was the Sharp Float. This is actually Helenwood Baptist Church and their cowboy camp. Cowboy Camp at Helenwood Baptist Church is coming up July the 10th through the 14th. It starts at 5:30 each night. Everyone is welcome. And behind them will be the Firemen's Fourth Pageant Ambassador, Queen Laney Weber. And behind her, one of the queens in this year's Firemen's Fourth Pageant, Braylon Russ. Braylon was crowned the queen in the, I think that's the 16 to 18 division, if I'm not mistaken. And following Miss Russ will be Adley Hamby. Adley was the Little Miss Junior Scott County Fairs to the fair last August. By the way, that's something else that's coming up right around the corner. The first week of August, the Scott County Fair will be back here at Madison Douglas. She was one of the winners in the Scott County Fair last year as well. And behind her, Jaylee Coffey, Miss Preteen Scott County of the Fair from a year ago. Kinley Duncan will be behind her. Kinley, another one of those fair winners from a year ago. She was Miss Scott County Fairs to the Fair in 2022. This parade stepped off from Huntsville Elementary School 25 minutes ago. It reached our location about 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago maybe. So we're well into this thing now, but still much more to come. We've had Huntsville Fire Department, but we've still got several more fire department and emergency services to come. We have had the But God Army. We've had beauty pageant winners, and we've had Helenwood Baptist Church. We've still got several floats, antique cars, fire departments, much more to come before this parade wraps up.
Hey! Kelly.
We've got another gap in the parade. This thing is really strung out. So, as you might imagine, it's probably going to be really strung out by the time they get back onto the Baker Highway and head east towards the Huntsville City Park. This parade circles the entire mall, not just the mall itself, but it actually goes behind the courthouse, by the old Scott County Jail, near the Presbyterian Church, and then back along the mall and exits near Brimstone Recreation. Next up is another staple in this parade and has been for some time. It is the Washam family and their float in memory of Corporal Rusty Washam, who died in Iraq in 2005. Also, his uncle, Private First Class Denny Washam, who was killed in action in, I don't want to have to correct myself, I think Vietnam. And of course, Corporal Rusty Washam's mother, Beverly Washam, was a longtime member of the Scott County Board of Education. The Washam family is still strongly involved in education in Scott County. Again, our sponsors this evening, helping to bring you live coverage of the Firemen's Fourth Festival, are First National Bank of Oneida, United Cumberland Bank, Twin K Enterprises, Plateau Electric Cooperative, Salvage LLC, McDonald's of Oneida and the Haley family, Town of Huntsville and Mayor Dennis Jeffers, Highland Telephone, Highland Communications and the Highland Connection, Scott Appalachian Industries, Scott County Trustee Renee Irwin, Scott County Mayor Jared Jeffers, El Rey of Oneida and Lorenzo Garcia, and also Takahata Precision Tennessee here in Helenwood. And this is more of the entry that is in honor of Corporal Rusty Washam. Mentioned earlier there was just a little bit of rain here on the mall earlier this afternoon, but for the most part it has been a fantastic day for the Firemen's Fourth. Pretty typical weather for July. A little bit hot, but not too hot. Temperatures in the mid-80s. A little bit of rain about, but not too much. Right now the skies are clear, and if things hold, and it looks like that they will, then we should have fantastic weather for the fireworks a little bit later on tonight. I told you earlier that the Sharp Float has been a part of this parade for as far back as probably anybody can remember, including the Sharps themselves. I was wrong when I thought that they were coming along earlier, but here they are now. The Sharp family, one of the most prominent families here in Huntsville through the years, going all the way back to Uncle Billy Sharp, one of the very first storekeepers, business owners here in downtown, what is today downtown Huntsville, in the courthouse area. Jada Newport next in line. She was the division queen in the 13 to 15-year-old division of the Firemen's Fourth pageant. Scott County Mayor Jared Jeffers coming up next. Mayor Jeffers, one of our sponsors of the live coverage here today. We appreciate him and the rest of our sponsors as well. Former Scott County Commissioner Harold Chambers is going to be up next in his antique car. Guys, bear with me just a second. We're going to move locations here a little bit. So if you get seasick easily, I'm sorry. Setting up here for the Firemen's 4th Parade. Never easy when you're crippled, as I am. It's even tougher. Not asking for your sympathy, just explaining why we had to move locations there a little bit. Sweet Grace Creations and Boutique making its way by our location now. And this parade continues to stretch back at Longbaker Highway as far as you can see, past the fire hall and beyond. But we are getting into the latter stages of this parade as the fire departments will bring up the tail end of things, and then from there they will continue east to Huntsville City Park, and the attention will soon turn from parade to fireworks, which are coming up at about 10 o'clock this evening, and we will take a break when this parade is finished, but we will be back for the fireworks at 10 o'clock sharp. Coming up now is Scott County Assessor of Property Tiffany Jeffers. Assessor of Property, the only county-wide office on the ballot for the 2024 election, which is coming up next year. It's going to be here before you know it. It's never too soon to start campaigning just a little bit. I'm not saying that Tiffany is necessarily campaigning. Her and her family out and having fun in this year's parade, and why not? And by the way, if you're thinking, wait a minute, didn't she just get elected? Well, that's true. She was elected as part of the 2022 county general election. However, that was a special election for the Assessor of Property's office because she was filling the unexpired term of Tony Sexton, who died of COVID. And she had been appointed to his office. So she will have to run again in 2024. And from there, that office will be back on a regular schedule that will run every 4 years. Anyway, you didn't ask for that knowledge. I just thought I would share it with you. West Ready Mix coming up next as we get into the latter stages of this Firemen's 4th Parade. First up among our emergency services, you saw Huntsville Fire Department at the front of the parade, and now at the back of the parade, leading things off among the emergency services will be Oneida Fire Department. And up first is Oneida Fire Chief Mike Stringer. Pine Hill Fire Department following the Oneida Fire Department. And behind Pine Hill will be the Mid-County Volunteer Fire Department. This will be Mid-County here, making its way by our location, which is on the corner of the mall, the corner of Baker Highway and Court Street here in downtown Huntsville. Following the Mid-County Volunteer Fire Department is going to be the Winfield Fire Department. So we have had Huntsville, we've had Oneida, we've had Pine Hill, Mid-County, now Winfield. And kind of breaking up the monotony of the fire departments. Okay, that's a bad word. Anyway, breaking things up a little bit is the Chambers family. Another one of the staples of this Firemen's Fourth Parade. How are you? And stopping by our location, who else? State Senator Ken Yeager.
Happy 4th.
Thank you, Senator Yeager. This is the Paint Rock Fire Department. I had to step away there just for a moment. When a state senator stops and says, "How are you?" you got to talk. And he's going to make his way, not interrupting this parade, just kind of making his way through a gap here. He's got a ways to go. All the way back to Kingston tonight. All right, next up is the South Scott Volunteer Fire Department. As this parade of fire engines continues to make its way by our location, and this will be the last of the fire departments. South Scott Volunteer Fire Department. They will be followed by Scott County Rescue Squad, and that will be the end of this Firemen's Fourth Parade. So as the rescue squad makes its way by our location, let me tell you one more time who our sponsors are for our live coverage of the Firemen's Fourth Festival. First National Bank of Oneida, United Cumberland Bank, Twin K Enterprises, Plateau Electric Cooperative, Salvage LLC, McDonald's of Oneida, the Town of Huntsville, the Highland Connection, Scott Appalachian Industries, Renee Irwin, Scott County Trustee, Scott County Mayor Jared Jeffers, El Rey, and Takahata Precision. And so with that, we have reached the end of this Firemen's Fourth Parade. We're going to step aside, but we're not finished. We'll take a couple of hours, and then we'll be back at 10 o'clock sharp for live video coverage of tonight's fireworks as we cap things off here at the Town of Huntsville's Firemen's Fourth Festival. Until 10 o'clock tonight, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again in just a couple of hours.